All right. Let's get straight to it.
Let's jump straight in. We've got a full hour coming up. HYZON Motors making waves in two big ways. First, signing a strategic alliance with Viva Energy, and over in the US, launching a merger with hopes of IPOing on the NASDAQ. So we're going to bring in HYZON Motors Chief Executive Craig Knight, joins us from the US. Craig, welcome. Happy Friday to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
There's a lot to digest here, so we'll just sort of jump straight in and say, well, let's start here with Australia, a hydrogen hub. So walk us through the strategy there.
Obviously, our goal is to accelerate the energy transition in commercial mobility. So a very essential part of that, if you want to get from diesel to hydrogen, is the availability of hydrogen. So it's imperative for us to partner with groups who are involved in building out hydrogen infrastructure and able to deliver hydrogen for our vehicles. So that's why this new strategic partnership with Viva Energy.
All right, you've also at the same time announced that you've signed a merger agreement with the Decarbonisation Plus Acquisition Corporation. Now this is a SPAC. Yeah. Just tell us the reasons for going through this process.
So the SPAC route is perhaps not as well known in Australia as it is here in the US, but it's essentially a listed investment company, or a blank check company as they call it. It's formed as essentially cash in trust that lists on the stock exchange with a particular mandate. So when we were considering the options for putting capital on the balance sheet, they obviously range from normal private placement kind of options through to pursuing a standard IPO, or looking at a SPAC as essentially as a merger partner that brings the cash in trust onto our balance sheet. So we thought that was an expedient way for us to go about the process, get the money we need on the balance sheet, give us the firepower we need to execute, build out facilities, hire the teams that we need to execute on our plan to deploy thousands of fuel cell powered commercial vehicles within the next 3 years.
So that gives you what, combined equity of some 2.7 billion US. Can you just explain how you're going to deploy that then?
So the cash on the balance sheet is not quite that generous. That's the equity value, but we only sold obviously a portion of the company. So we'll have about close to $600 million on the balance sheet, and we have quite decent expenditure planned for continued technology development, continued R&D in the core fuel cell technology, but we're also heavily investing in all of the systems that at the vehicle level, so all of the electric drive and so on, because essentially a fuel cell electric vehicle is still an electric vehicle, so we need that kind of traditional electric drive for the trucks and buses, and then the fuel cell is essentially providing the range, it's providing the energy storage essentially. So we'll be heavily investing in the research and development on the core fuel cell technologies and the vehicle level technologies and software and controls and all that sort of thing. So that's a major part of the expenditure, but also facilities. We do have an asset-light structure, so that an asset-light process for building. We do concentrate on building out the fuel cell systems, hydrogen systems, and then outsource the chassis, a lot of the cab and a lot of the other elements in the vehicle. We do outsource that, which keeps our capital expenditure modest.
So just on that, so you're providing the energy. So have you partnered with commercial vehicle company in order to install this hydrogen technology away from, as you say, away from diesel and towards green energy? Are you working with a particular company in order to facilitate and roll out this process?
Yes, so we are working with the established strong incumbents in heavy vehicles. So in Europe we work with DAF, and here in the United States we're working with Freightliner on the heavier vehicles, and we're also working with Ford on the lighter commercials. And this is something that enables us to get started very quickly. We don't get to all the way to the perfect solution, but we obviously are able to purchase mature products in the market that have all the right credentials and customer acceptance, and upfit them with the fuel cell technology to make them zero-emission vehicles.
Craig, I'm wondering what potential you're seeing in Australia at the moment, particularly, I guess, with hydrogen versus lithium batteries, and I guess the range required, particularly for trucks in Australia given the lack of infrastructure in place?
Yeah, the battery versus fuel cell debate is one that we don't really engage in. All we do is we focus on the areas where the battery vehicle really can't do it. So we focus on those commercial vehicle applications where the vehicles are doing, 2 or more driver shifts in a day. You simply don't have the time to charge, even if you had the infrastructure to charge. And we believe that hydrogen benefits from a fantastic scale economy. As it scales, everything gets cheaper. The marginal cost goes down on hydrogen. As you scale electrical infrastructure, particularly for very heavy vehicles, you can have this problem of a worsening marginal cost position. So we do believe that as hydrogen is deployed at scale, it's a no-brainer in the very high utilization, especially back-to-base type operations where you can minimize the number of places where you need to access fuel, the hydrogen as fuel. But even in those long-haul applications, once you've got a couple of fueling locations, 500 or 600 kilometers apart, you can get by with hydrogen, but you would certainly struggle to survive on batteries in a very heavy truck that has a payload imperative.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Australia and US are both very big countries to keep them fueled. Quick question from me. Is there any particular reason you chose the NASDAQ as the choice of exchange?
We looked at the NASDAQ and the NYSE. We didn't have a strong preference. Our goal was really to find the ideal merger partner. So in the Decarbonisation Plus Acquisition Corp, we found a group that had an absolutely singular focus on the decarbonisation challenges ahead of us, and they were looking for a technology that could disrupt, a prevailing industry with new decarbonising technologies that would have a significant role to play in the decarbonisation journey. And heavy trucking is a very challenging sector to decarbonise.
All right, Craig, terrific. You can join us from HYZON there in the States. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.